The information provided on the Forever Young Show by its host or sponsors is for educational and personal alternatives. Statements have not been established by the Food and Drug Administration. They are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease.
Welcome to the Forever Young Radio Show. Over the past 2 decades, we have had the opportunity to serve and help so many listeners. We do that by bringing on respected educators in all fields of health and wellness. We pride ourselves on keeping consumers in the know about our ever-changing healthcare system and ways to support the body. Each week, with the help of our special guests and experts, we have one goal in mind, and that's to ensure every listener has the most up-to-date information on ways to support all aspects of health. Now, here's your host.
Hello, everyone. So glad you could join us today right here on Forever Young. If it's the first time you've come across our program, whether it be on the traditional radio dial, Sirius XM, or any of our great podcast platform, welcome to the show. It's our honor to have you listen to us. We've been here for well over 2 decades, and our mission each and every week is to educate every listener on healthier lifestyle options and good quality science-based information. If you'd like to learn more about the show, it is very easy. All you have to do is check out our website. That is foreveryoungradio.com. Again, foreveryoungradio.com. There we have articles from A to Z, over 425 podcast episodes on all different related topics that you could think of, that you could go and check out and share with your friends and family. Today is a very, very special show for me. I'm honored to be joined by my health mentor, Karen Masterson-Cook. Karen helped me all those years ago. I was thinking about it was 20 plus years. And really, I was bitten by the health bug because of what Karen has taught me. Karen is a clinical nutritionist, health educator, author, and the founder of Aloe. Aloe has been a respected brand for over 30 years. I'm going to ask Karen about it, but I'm pretty sure she brought it to market in 1991. It's been a mainstay for me and my family, as the Aloe products are the very best buy on the market, because there is a very big difference in aloe vera that you can find in the marketplace today. And you need to know as a consumer, if you're going to take the benefit of this fountain of youth, awesome herbal bitter, you want to know what's in it. Welcome back to the show, Karen. Great to have you with me.
Well, Kelly and listeners, it's so wonderful to be with you again and sharing the important, fun, and awesome value of aloe and Aloe as the number one superfood of the 21st century. I mean, and there couldn't be a better time because all the experts, as you know, agree that diseases are at an all-time high, including digestive ailments, tripled, along with autoimmune conditions, climbing from 80 different ones to now 130. And people, as you know, you really want some guidelines, some real guidelines that are founded in science as well as what works for people. Healthy foods, low inflammatory, and a few key core nutrients we'll be focusing on today, and the value of aloe. And so many people still don't know that it helps the skin both inside and out, the entire body from top to bottom, friends.
Again, we're going to share a lot of great information today. And why don't you share with us today really what kind of led you down the path of wanting to even study natural medicine and natural health, and how the aloe plant really made it into your life?
Yeah, I really am waiting because it's such an important message to get out today. And before I actually tell you a little bit about my journey in the past and to the present, The Fountain of Youth is an article that I first wrote, friends, that really helps a person who's never really used an aloe product before understand the great value. That was just one of the many names that the ancient people of thousands of years ago gave this plant of immortality, the wand of heaven, is the fountain of youth. And so, friends, I just wanted to share a quick story of when the first 5 years of Aloe Life actually helping to get the message out that this ancient plant where people used it for all the same ailments that we have today is so important. I was in our local co-op and sharing and training the staff, and this customer came up and was wondering what I was doing. And I said, I'm sampling the therapeutic aloe from Aloe Life. And he goes, you drink it? I never get tired of hearing that surprise because people still think it's just for sunburn and skin issues, and it's great for that too. And he said, well, I eat really well, and his whole basket was full of foods. And it just shows how well the catalyst properties of a quality aloe really work for him. And I said, well, just try it. And he said, okay, I will. It tastes really odd. He said, but I'm pretty healthy other than I have these skin conditions. And he lifted up his arms and legs of his shirt, and there he had so many cancers on his face as well. And I said, why don't you take the challenge, the 45 to 90-day challenge of Aloe Life? And he did. And Kelly, I will tell you, you might have heard this story before. This within days, he called my office, and his skin was actually starting to resolve the issues that was causing the inflammation. And he was now absorbing all of these incredible nutrients that we need for skin support. And so it's a wonderful, wonderful plant that really has earned its name, the skin plant, and so many other wonderful names.
Yeah, I believe it because goodness, all those years ago, there was that wound study too that we had shared with the listeners. I'm hoping we could share that today and all the great information. And I think pound for pound, we talk about, I love that you reference people think you can only use it on your skin. They get a sunburn. They're going to look outside to cut a plant or to buy something in the supermarket that looks green, which aloe should never be green if it's a skin gel, right, Karen? So we're going to talk about that a little bit too, but we got to run out to that first break. But I want you listeners to go and check out their brand new website, aloelife.com. That's ALOELIFE, aloelife.com. A lot of great information, a lot of wonderful articles and education on there. So why don't you go check it out? But when we come back from the break, more on your health with Karen Masterson-Cook. Welcome back, listeners. Again, having a wonderful show with great friend of the show, Karen Masterson-Cook. I'll tell you, I've learned so much about health in the 25 years that I've been doing this just by being her friend and allowing her to mentor me all those years ago. I think about all the people you've counseled over the years, and thank God that you went down this path all those years ago. I don't think originally that was the path you were going to go down, Karen. So why don't you share with us a little bit about that?
Well, Kelly, I'm so glad you asked me about my studies because it's always a challenge of figuring out what you want to do when you grow up. And I became very interested in food at a young age. Our family had a lot of Italian influence, as you are Italian as well. So food was important, but I ate way too much sugar and ate a lot of fried foods. And I could tell that it was affecting the way I thought and learned and just how healthy my brain was. I finally started realizing that if I ate more protein and vegetables and such, it really helped to even out my blood sugar, and I was a better student. So I actually started thinking that instead of being a dietitian and learning about the 4 food groups, that I wanted to look at alternative and more complementary paths where herbs could even be more medicinal, more than just flavoring foods. And I began to look at the organic choices in the health food stores, along with my brother. And so my brother became a catalyst for me. He had developed melanoma cancer at a young age. And unfortunately, we're seeing a lot of younger and younger people developing many of the heavy hitter diseases, including cancer. And he was only 18. So at that young age, I was only 11.
Wow.
He sought alternative treatment. I know in Mexico, the Laetrile. And our family was just distraught over it, that he didn't want to do just chemo and radiation. Yet he lived twice as long as other patients being diagnosed with the same condition, aggressive melanoma. And he did end up passing, but he had such a big influence on my path into natural nutrition, alternative, we used to call it, that really developed into the complementary health path. And it was incredible, just studying about how cell health and biology and microbiology. I had to get tutors for my math, but it was amazing. And it launched me into completing my degree in nutrition. And my counselors would say, you don't want to do this, and you'll never get a job. And I said, I already have a job. So that really helped me to get my first job as I was going to school, my dream job at the famous Livingston Wheeler Immunology and Allergy Clinic in San Diego. And boy, did I ever learn a lot about the human body. We actually had cancer patients that got on their program of whole foods, lots of carrot juice, and the IV vitamin C's that Dr. Virginia Livingston, immunologist, started using way back in the 70s, friends. So she was a pioneer. in this field, and I could see cancer-ridden bodies just totally start reversing and building new tissue, before my very eyes. So I didn't have to just learn it. I mean, I was seeing it on the job training, and I had a lot of takeaway lessons from the 7 years I worked there. Nobody ever had to say that using supplements and whole foods and these wonderful treatments that Dr. Virginia developed, autogenous vaccine, and really helped to spark the clinics that we have today, the cancer clinics around the United States. And what I learned is the human body will heal itself if you give it the opportunity, right? Such an important lesson that we don't have drug deficiencies, but we have so many nutritional deficiencies. I've actually highlighted it down to about 91 different nutrients that include probiotics, especially if you've been getting a lot of antibiotics. And then how important prevention is. Prevention is always the best modality, and the body requires 3 steps. I'm giving you a lot of information, but you have to, on a daily basis, always be rebuilding the body with foods and healthy digestion. 2, detoxing all the channels. And 3, that allows for renewal of all the cells in the body, your 80 trillion cells, friends, including your metabolism. You got to have healthy metabolism to look and feel your very best. And that led me into my next job. It was so amazing, Kelly. I learned so much so quickly, and it was really exciting to see health return to people just by applying health. The food you eat today becomes your body tomorrow if you absorb it, right?
Right. And I think that's what the key takeaway is too, Karen, is it's not what we intake, it's what we absorb. And you taught me so many years ago that people say they have an issue with candida, and candida is on the rise again, especially since the pandemic. And they could be trying to think, okay, well, I'm going to try this great thing, maybe like a new antiviral that I found, but for some reason it's not working. And again, making modifications in your diet, lowering sugar. We all know sugar is not good for us. It leads us to a path that we don't want to be. But again, that also led you to one of the best clinics in San Diego where you were helping people with HIV, AIDS, cancer, and a variety of different things. And there was some great research out of Texas at that time too, Karen, that I think really sparked you to want to continue on and be like, wait a minute.
Absolutely. Yes, there was a movie that actually came out to depict the situation that was going on in the AIDS community. It's called the Dallas Buyers Club with Matthew McConaughey. It's a great movie if you haven't seen it. And it was my life at the time. And we were using and looking for different herbs and definitely supplements. And all of my patients did better in using health proactively. Yet I didn't believe the aloe could be so therapeutic. So the doctors approved it. We did our clinic study. And lo and behold, every one of the patients started feeling better using the aloe. And the energy really came up. It was just a surprise. The lab work all was improving. And that is so significant for modern day because anemia is the number one nutritional deficiency, friends. It's not a secret that IBS and advanced bowel disease also adds to that challenge, but we just didn't understand it years ago as we do now.
Yeah, and that was really interesting because in that movie you see them going to Mexico and almost smuggling aloe plants, and people didn't have use of those, and a lot of different areas weren't being able to give a good whole leaf. And that's where I like to talk about, Karen, where there's many things within our marketplace, right? We could go to a health food store and there's 80 different protein powders to choose from, and different companies, different types, different varieties. But I think the number one thing for me is really understanding if you're going to spend the money, if you're going to take the time, what makes a good aloe. And I think as you were alluding to all those years ago, that kind of what helped you figure out the aloe plant was so energizing to your patients and the research was behind it. Can you just tell us a little bit more about the active, as you refer to them in your articles, and the great books that you've put out there? I know you've written some really good books as well, Karen.
Well, when you get into, there's over 100 different actives, friends. There's 300 species of plants. So there's 4 species of plants, the Aloe barbadensis, that has higher immunity factor. That comes from the polysaccharide active, which is one of the complex sugars. It's not like cane sugar, friends, so there's no inflammatory nature to it, but it sparks our own immune system, the macrophage, to get busy. It doesn't matter if it's viruses, bacteria, or fungus. So that's one of the main actives I really think are so important, and heat destroys it. So it's important to actually understand that gentle processing of a plant is very important. Also, the phytosterols, the agent supporting anti-inflammatory action, is really a help, because if you have wounds, which Kaposi sarcoma, these ulcers would open up on patients, and then later on with all the blood sugar issues we have in this country with diabetic ulcers, that you have to get inflammation down in a wound before it allows the actual growth factor to come in and start knitting the tissue together for resolution, actually helping the body to reverse any types of wounds or even scarring as well. And then we have the wonderful growth factor, which is my favorite. It is actually a plant hormone that supports new cell growth in record time. In 8 hours, the wound study that Aloe Life did showed resolution of new skin cells. And we're just put together with 80,000 cells ourselves, so we want to make sure that every cell is healthier. Vitamin E with aloe is really remarkable on every level to help the cell replicate itself. Along with, we have 22 other actives, Kelly. So those are just some of my favorite ones that I love using and made the world of difference in my patients.
Yeah, and that's what matters. Is it making a difference? Is it adding value? Are they absorbing it? Are things looking up? So I love you for sharing that, Karen. That is so great. And when we come back from the break, I really want to talk to you about that uptick in autoimmune conditions, because I think we've seen that on the rise, not in the last 10 years, just in the last couple of years. So I hope our listeners will stay with us. Again, go and check out their brand new website, aloelife.com. Put a lot of effort into making that very consumer friendly for each of you, and go and learn more about Karen Masterson Cook. There's a wonderful letter, a president's letter, that you can go and read, and some great articles, including some tasty recipes. So again, aloelife.com. If you're driving and you can't remember, this is all on our weekly highlight page at foreveryoungradio.com. Be right back after the break. Welcome back, listeners. Again, thank you for joining us for this very special episode, talking about aloe vera in a whole, the fountain of youth, with great friend of the show, Karen Masterson Cook. She is the founder of Aloe Life International since 1991, and really just was sharing with us her awesome story of how this wand of heaven, this wonderful plant, aloe vera, made its way into her life, and all the ways that she's been able to not only counsel people over the years, but to provide families, keyword families, from pets to babies, to adults, to seniors, a very good quality aloe vera product out there. Now, Karen, before we went to the break, we were mentioning that uptick in autoimmune conditions. I mean, it's crazy. In fact, even in your second book, Beyond Gluten Intolerance, you have people in every household back then who were having that issue. And I think in chapter 7 and 8, you're going to share with us some of your top supplements and research, especially out of that tough study that you have.
Well, Kelly, I'm so glad you brought it up, because I got it wrong myself, friends. I used to actually teach about how important it was to have the whole grains build a whole body. Wrong. So,
Yeah.
I thought the Chinese got it wrong, brown rice instead of white rice, but no, they didn't. Really, when I did a deep dive into the entire category of digestion, which is so important, you learn that right away, how important digestion is in total body health. And that's why aloe can be such a pivotal product for you to use to really kick up your whole program. And so inflammation is the buzzword of the 21st century. It's the buzzword in health because, we're over-inflamed. The body has all the major diseases are based in inflammation. And why that is because we're taking in all of these triggers that are explained in the big book, Beyond Gluten Intolerance. It's such a valuable health reference book, friends, for every family. And this is just like a little snippet, a small little show. But when you get the book, you're going to know exactly what to do. You're going to know why you got into maybe blood sugar, diabetes, maybe failing immune system. Because ultimately, when you're eating the triggers, sugar, refined sugar, it's complex carbohydrates, as well as the whole grains. They have to be broken down. And also milk products. So all these complex carbohydrates actually relate to the whole gluten inflammatory syndrome, friends. And what happens, it's microscopic. You don't know what's going on. Sometimes you do, because it'll cause heartburn or pain in the gut, to advanced bowel disease, ulcerative colitis, and so many different issues more related to celiac disease. But children can be having these issues as well as adults. And so it gets into malnutrition. So when you have the inflammation, it hurts the ability for the body to absorb the nutrients that relate to a good, healthy immune system and a good glandular system that feeds all of the body. You have to have healthy glands, and also skin health. So fat solubles become very difficult to be digested. The vitamin E, the vitamin A, omegas, the omega-3s. So that's where you want to understand what's going on. It's not who is and who isn't. What I found in my world study on digestion and bowel health is that we all have it. We were never meant to eat all the copious amounts of whole grains and fibers. So that's where simplifying the diet, eating more of the Mediterranean diet, okay? Vegans can have more autoimmune diseases than any other eating culture. So that's where I had it wrong. I was vegan for a while, and I wondered why my mental issues were coming up again. So if you've gotten yourself in trouble, the book will help you to get out of trouble, whether it's skin, whether it's mental wellness, any of the conditions in which they're all the cardiovascular issues, as well as blood sugar. We mentioned a lack of energy. It's like, if you want energy, just know that this is the path for you. And the shortcut is a quality aloe. And that's what, it's not all about aloe. It's just that aloe is that easy, quick herb that has been used for thousands of years. Now it's needed in the 21st century. And so the chapter 7 is fantastic. It'll answer every question you have, plus recipes. It's like, how can I get out of just having fast foods or not eating food at all? It's the fuel, friends. It's where all of these incredible essential nutrients to feed the brain, to feed all the systems of the body are in the food or supplements. So chapter 8 goes into the top supplements. And so important, there's tons of research, but write this down, no gelatin capsules. So if you're dealing with, a whole laundry list of health challenges, just trust me on this. It's like eating gluten. It's the structure. It doesn't matter if it's vegan or non-vegan. It's these structures that all of these foods have in common. I mean, top athletes are going gluten-free, like Novak Djokovic from Serbia. He's the top tennis player. And why does he do that? Because his entire body works better. His whole neuromuscular system can go out there and win the Grand Slams. We sponsor athletes in Aloe Life. It's so exciting. But the book will give you all of the how-to, will guide you through. And there's a little book, too. You can check them out on the website at aloelife.com. And both of them are really valuable. If you don't like to read, get the little book. And I would say the big book. It's easy reading, right, Kelly?
Oh my goodness, it's so easy reading, and the recipes are delicious, especially in the Beyond Gluten Intolerance book. Again, you can learn more about each at aloelife.com. Karen, the one thing I really, really love about you, among many, many things, is your passion to understand and share studies and research. I remember all those years ago when we did the show together, we actually had Jeffrey Bland on the show, and he wasn't doing interviews back then. You know what I mean? So it's very interesting, all these great studies. Would you mind just sharing with our listeners just a few or one or two of your favorite studies that you think could help motivate them to really see the value of aloe vera and especially incorporating Aloe Life into their health program?
Absolutely, yes. And my whole office is full of research, friends. It's kind of like a jungle. I try to stay organized. But we actually, the whole industry of aloe has exploded with research to begin with. The research was very helpful. It was all about antimicrobial, as I had shared, at the beginning of this interview. But one that I did get early on was from the Linus Pauling Institute with Jeffrey Bland. This research paper, The Effect of Orally Consumed Aloe Vera. Great title, right?
Yeah.
And so what they found, this was back in 85, protein absorption went up tremendously when the human subjects were drinking the aloe. And that was really good because with all the 3,500 now pieces of research worldwide, not as much on specific digestion, But that's where we find it's an herbal bitter, so it turns on the hydrochloric acid, which is missing in people today. And this is what they had. The results were that their subjects all, at the end of their study, it was really pretty short and it wasn't all that big, but they all actually had better absorption of the protein. And one of the reasons for it, because they get quite scientific, is that they were able to get this Candida albicans down in the intestinal tract. And that happens, friends, when you rebalance the pH. So when you're using a therapeutic aloe like Aloe that hasn't been over-processed, like some taste like water. Aloe tastes like tomato juice with a bite. Very different. Mm-hmm. But it actually helps the body to get that acidic pH needed to stimulate the hydrochloric acid. And that also, when you rebalance the pH in the GI tract, we're talking not the blood, the GI tract, the Candida can't live in the small intestine. And they were able to measure that by this indican that actually left through the urine. You had mentioned it earlier. People die of this opportunistic fungus that is supposed to be in the small intestine, but when you're eating ice cream and French fries and all the sugar and pizza, that just fuels the viruses. Like, so many doctors say, keep your calories up, eat all of these sugar, whatever you want to eat, so you don't lose weight during your chemotherapy. No, you want to always choose health. And that's what this study showed. It was really significant that protein is the number one nutrient we need, and people are under-eating in protein, more of the Mediterranean diet with fish and lean meats and beans and lots of vegetables, okay? Yeah. So, and that's where Aloe Life has their vegetable product, because we understood years ago, 15 years ago, when we developed the organic certified daily greens, that people just, it takes a while, right, to get your diet back on track. And I know for you, that was the first Aloe Life product that you took, Kelly, was the daily greens.
Yeah, it was actually the second. The first one I took was the orange papaya, because if you remember, I had ulcers. I had stomach ulcers. I was 25 years old, many, many moons ago, and I was burning the candle at both ends. I was the one working 15-hour days and then getting home so exhausted and ordering a pizza. And I wondered, why is my health going into the toilet? At that time, I was not a health educator. I was just strictly working in the space of a radio producer and creating content. But boy, I'll tell you, that changed my life. Then the next thing I got on was the daily greens. And I was leery at first. I want to be completely honest, because all of the greens I had ever tried taste like lawn clippings and were not my cup of tea. Then I tried yours and I'm like, holy moly, what is this stuff? It's so sweet. I felt better. I began to get more regular, which I had struggled with, regularity since a young child. We got to run out to a break. Again, go and learn more, aloelife.com. We're going to give you a special discount code to make sure you can try these products. It's Health20. You get 20% off your first order. Again, we're going to talk more about it when we come back from the break. Welcome back, listeners. Again, having a wonderful conversation with Karen Masterson Cook. Goodness, I'm so touched by this interview today to see how our journey has continually crossed paths, Karen, and just being so grateful for the education and everything that you've taught me, and getting on that health path, being bitten by the health bug because of what a wonderful educator you were, and telling me and counseling me at the time, Kelly, just try this. See if it'll help your ulcer. See if this will help your energy, your mood. I got off gluten. I got on Aloe Life. And boy, I was on fire ever since. My energy levels were up. When things like this work, you can't help but want to tell the world all about it, because you see so many of these people suffer, Karen, with these little ailments or these little issues that really it could be worked around if you have the proper knowledge on what to do and you're incorporating something very quality like the Aloe Life product. So again, I just wanted to take a little bit of time there, Karen, to give you a big pat on the back and tell you how grateful I am for all the education, all the help throughout the years.
Oh, it's a passion. I mean, once you see it, once you feel it for yourself, friends, you can't ever deny, that it's doing something. It totally is doing something. And maybe you lost your flame for health for some reason, but get back on track. And the studies really show what I was seeing in my patients. Every one of them gets better. It was getting better at the time years ago, and every client that I work with now, it's amazing. And the bioavailability study came out in 2003, so it was years after Aloe Life had already launched on immunity factor and digestion and whole body health, wellness. But the bioavailability study was done with humans at two different universities, at the University of Scranton in Pennsylvania, and then again at the University of Davis in California. And they both confirm the same thing. And that's what's beautiful. I mean, studies can be actually, changed so that they can get the right outcome. So if you read a weird one, like aloe doesn't do anything or aloe is harmful, no.
Yeah, I mean, come on.
Yeah, come on. But this study, the bioavailability, I love because it showed vitamin C, a water-soluble vitamin, was absorbed 200% better into the plasma. So you can talk about something absorbing into the blood, but it has to get into the actual cell. And that's what the study showed, 200% better. So if you're taking a 500 milligram tablet or powder, you're going to get the value twice. It's of 1,000, okay? So if you're taking 2,000, as I recommended my patient, actually 3,000 originally that had the lung tumor, and 50,000 units for just 2 weeks of the vitamin A, because this study said fat solubles, you get almost 3 times the value. That's why my patient actually had tumor reduction with 3 to 4 ounces of the aloe. I mean, it's synergistic. So it's a standalone. It has all this nutrition, lots of trace minerals, but it also has all these phytonutrients in it as well. So it helps to carry in your supplements much deeper into the actual cells to support your body, to support body wellness. And B12, which is very difficult to absorb through this bioavailability study, was time released and absorbed, and you have to have it to have mental health, friends. Aloe is a catalyst. It will piggyback your supplements, and that's what's so fun. You can say, I've got my whole program together. You don't have it together like you can when you actually use the Aloe Life as a pathway, a carrier for your foods as well as your supplements, and that's where every patient got better so much quicker. Isn't it wonderful? I just love the research when it came out. And then the last one I wanted to share was the butyric acid cycle, because immunity is so important, right? We don't get to keep having fun on this planet if we don't have immunity. And that's all about having Aloe Life Growth Factor be the director of this very important fermentation cycle in the small intestine. And it shows how helpful aloe can be with all the autoimmune, the 21 different skin conditions. And internally, we've got all, cardiovascular disease has inflammation, but definitely the diabetes as well as cancer as well. And so it's called butyric acid cycle, and it helps to speed it up with not grain fiber, but your bean fiber, just regular like carrot fiber, eating vegetables that aren't inflammatory along with your probiotics. That's where probiotics comes in. Yes, it is very important. You always have to replenish it if you've had antibiotics for sure. But you don't always have to, that's not the first step to digestion. A quality aloe is what turns on the hydrochloric acid, and that came from the Tufts study, which, Kelly, is the largest study on health, and they showed it wasn't enzymes that were lacking, it was hydrochloric acid. So again, blood sugar responds beautifully. There's 9 studies that support a quality aloe to really have the pancreas start functioning and making its own insulin. I mean, we get constant calls from people saying, could it be the aloe that I have to actually reduce my diabetic medicine? And I'm like, well, are you doing anything else? No. And it's like, yeah, it's beautiful because it works on that level to just balance the body. It's not a cure. It helps the body balance out. So it doesn't need to have outside help, but it actually begins making all of the different hormones and glands and excrements that it needs. That sounds a little odd, but, that these glands are supposed to make insulin, okay, and store glycogen in the liver so that you have those stores, for the body when you're not eating. So again, the body is amazing. It will rebuild itself as it has the opportunity, and that's where Aloe Life is a shortcut back to feeling healthier.
I know Aloe Life carries 17 different products, but for someone listening, can you maybe just talk about, the difference of where they would want to start depending on what they're dealing with? I know it's very individualized, but say somebody is having horrible digestion. Maybe they're dealing with inflammaging, where they have that chronic buildup, that inflamed state. what would you kind of recommend would be a good place for them to start if they've never used a high quality aloe vera like Aloe Life?
Right. Well, Aloe Life is the best buy as well. Each quart of Aloe Gold is equal to 4 quarts of quality aloe. That's where you can't believe that you can get this quality with all the results from a product line. But that was one of our goals when we started. I think being a clinician instead of being a marketer, really helped me to develop the line of concentrates that work fast. So just using capsules daily of the Aloe Gold, or the flavors if your taste is finicky, or children. Definitely we want to remember that children respond so beautifully to the products as well, and they're 100% safe. So I would say the Aloe Gold, if you have a lot of sensitivities, is always better. And then the Daily Greens go easy. It's a great partnership with the greens, with the Aloe Gold to begin with, just half amount. So it tells you, if you have like loose stool, just go with a half a capsule. I mean, I have people calling all the time just saying, oh, it put me into detox. Yes, because you're rebuilding, you're detoxing. This is how the body's supposed to work. And then it allows for that renewal. And then second, we have the advanced formulas, the Detox Plus, which is fabulous. You'll want to actually get into the Detox Plus with the Easiac herbs, the milk thistle for extra liver support, because we have a lot of cirrhosis of the liver going on, even in young people, and also a lot of herpes simplex affecting their mental attitude and dementia and mental illness too, that you'll read about in the book. But the Detox Plus is amazing for that extra cleansing when people are stuck. And believe me, any advanced skin conditions, advanced decline in immunity support is fabulous. And again, because, the actual pathways of how it works is not only digestion, but energy and pH balancing, the skin, and allergy, because you really want to understand that it's a lack of connective tissue. So it will help your vitamin C and bioflavonoids out of your foods, bell peppers, kiwis, and such, be absorbed. And then the next thing you know, you're not being bothered by pollen and molds, and now the whole world now after all the rainy season we've had. So no matter what it is, whether it's IBS or what, you're going to get the support from your allergies. You need to make sure the bowels are moving with the FiberMate. FiberMate is a non-glutinous fiber with probiotics that Aloe Life makes. FiberMate, that's a wonderful product as well. And again, it goes with core nutrients. It's not like you choose this line over your diet. No, but get your diet together, get the sugar down, get the nutrition up. But these are shortcuts, the daily greens with any of the juice concentrates and the skin products. We didn't even talk about them. They are amazing. Like that you absorb all of these actives that are so helpful. We have people that say, oh, I've been spending $200 for my lotion, and this works better, the face and body lotions.
And again, we are out of time here, but you can learn more by going to aloelife.com. That's aloelife.com. Again, you can use the code HEALTH20, that's HEALTH20, and get 20% off your first order. Or if you prefer to buy at the store level, there are 2,200 outlets out there in different health food stores, including online at Amazon or again at aloelife.com. Use the code HEALTH20 to get 20% off your first order. Karen, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show today.
Just choose health today, friends. Get back on track. Be well.
All right. Thank you so much. And again, listeners, you can learn more about Aloe Life at aloelife.com or by going to our weekly highlight page at foreveryoungradio.com. We've put everything that we've spoken about there in a direct link, and you can learn more about Karen Masterson Cook as well. Have a happy and healthy week, and we'll catch you next time right here on Forever Young.